What if Arya and Tommen married instead of Sansa and Joffrey? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Arya sits down alone in the training yard, glad to be out of the tower with Septa Mordaine and her sister, especially now of all times. She still can't get over what her father told her a few days before about her betrothal to Tommen Baratheon. At first, she had thought he was just joking, perhaps teasing her as punishment for not being on her best behavior when the king arrived. Yet when she looked at his deep gray eyes, she realized to her horror that he was completely serious about it. In truth, Ned had little choice in the matter. Robert had his heart set on marrying into the Starks and uniting their houses. It was his way of honoring Ned and fulfilling what should have been done a long time ago with his marriage to Lyanna. In fact, his previous proposal was even worse, as he suggested marrying Joffrey and Sansa. While that would have made his daughter ecstatic, as she would be queen, Ned was less than pleased. He had heard troubling rumors about the boy, things that did not sit well with him, and that seemed too consistent to be mere hearsay. Thankfully, this marriage pact placated him, though Ned wasn't fully on board with it either. Tommen seems sweet, but Arya is wild and never fond of the trappings of court. Being in the royal family will be difficult for her. Now she sits there alone and tries to clear her head. A part of her wants nothing more than to be in the training yard herself, letting her anger flow by hitting her opponent till she feels better. But such a sight was considered unbecoming of a lady, so she must satisfy herself with simply watching as Jon spars with Joffrey, silently cheering her bastard brother on. As she does, she does not notice the person approaching until he takes a seat beside her.
Your brother is quite skilled.
Yes, he is. Even better than your brother.
I've never seen Joffrey defeated in a spar like this. I think a lot of people are too scared to fight him.
Or just scared he'd run to the Hound.
He can be quite scary to me.
Not me.
Then you were braver than I.
But why are you here?
Because we're to be wed, and I'd like to get to know you first. My mother spoke to me about the situation. I find it really confusing, so I thought that getting to know you more would help me understand.
I don't think talking about it's going to make it better.
Maybe we should just enjoy each other's company. I hear you like to play with swords.
Arya looks at him in surprise. She expects a rebuke from him, but there's something about his tone. Wistfulness. Blinking, she nods, and before she realizes it, she and Tommen are in a quiet corner, clacking wooden swords against each other under the watchful eye of Sir Arys Oakheart. Tommen admits he doesn't have anyone to play with him like this, as Joffrey is too cruel and uses this as an excuse to hit him. Arya admits she doesn't have anyone except the baker's boy and some of the household's children. The prince is eager, but woefully inexperienced. The sword feels awkward in his hands, and more than once, she watches as it slips through his fingers and fumbles to pick it up. She finds herself going easy on him to avoid hurting Tommen, but by the end, both of them are panting, but sharing smiles as they admit they had fun. When it is time for Tommen to wash up for dinner, he offers Arya his thanks and wishes they could continue again. For the first time, Arya begins to think that this won't be as bad as she thought. The royal family remains in Winterfell for a few more weeks, as Robert makes the most of his stay there. However, not everything is peachy, as Bran soon gets into an accident and falls from a tower. The accident leaves him in a coma, and there are sincere fears that he might actually die. Thankfully, those thoughts soon abate, yet Tommen proves to be a source of comfort for Arya as he visits her and keeps her company. As they spend more time together, she comes to see the youngest of Cersei and Robert's brood as a friend. When the time comes to go south, the two are now constant companions. Yet, if Arya hopes that this journey will be easier than her time in Winterfell, then she is sorely mistaken, as there is an incident in the Ruby Fjord. While playing with one of her friends, Joffrey tries to cut him, leading Nymeria to bite him to protect Arya. This leads to her forcing her direwolf to flee. When she is found, Cersei demands that she be punished, and Tommen speaks up in her defense. He pleads with his mother to not blame her for what the wolf did. Besides, Nymeria is gone. The crowd goes silent as everyone looks at Tommen. For all his life, he was always an obedient little boy who never questioned his parents. Hearing him speak out, however meekly, leaves everyone in silence. Even Tommen is surprised by himself, feeling a rush of blood through his body as he looks around, for the first time feeling like a true prince. Arya looks up at her friend gratefully, but in the end, it doesn't mean anything, as Cersei refuses to be swayed. Instead, Lady is put to death as punishment, leaving Sansa distraught. Though Tommen continues to plead, nothing is stopping her. Sansa blames Arya for all of this and storms off. Tommen prepares to go to his future bride when Cersei pulls him aside to speak in private.
You made quite the show earlier.
Mother, I couldn't let you do that. It was wrong.
That Stark girl has quite the effect on you, Tommen. Few men would stand up in front of a crowd like that. I'm not upset, but I hope you don't forget who your family is.
But if she's to be my bride, shouldn't I protect her? Won't she be my family as well?
She certainly will be. And yet, am I not still your mother? Do you not respect me?
Of course,
Then you should not forget that. So often do little boys grow up and forget those who raised them. I love you, my son, and I will do everything in my power to protect you. All you must do is trust that your mother has your best interests at heart.
Tommen nods his head as Cersei places a kiss on his forehead and walks off after she makes the little prince promise that he will not let anyone come between him and his family. When he leaves, his heart is heavy with thoughts of everything that his mother's told him. While he's said he won't let anything like that happen again, the truth is he has no idea what that might actually mean. Despite that, he gets far more positive words from other people. His sister, Marcella, gives him a big hug and laughs, saying she's never seen Joffrey so angry. She also says that she's proud of seeing him stand up for what he believes in like that. Then, as he enters the chambers, he finds a figure standing half hidden in the shadow, barely concealing his scarred visage.
You've at last shown your teeth, little cub, but take heed. Love is a dreadful bond, but so easily severed.
Tommen carries those words in his mind, and the rest of the journey to King's Landing takes place in relative quiet as both sides now take great efforts to avoid one another. Though they travel along the same road and in the same group, it is as if they are entirely two separate clans. Even Arya keeps her distance, as Lord Stark keeps her within sight at all times. Things only seem to calm down once they reach the capital, and the children are given more freedom in the castle. Tommen continues his lessons in governance and ruling, as well as reading and writing. Meanwhile, Arya is given a chance of a lifetime as Ned offers her a sword master to train her. It is only then that the two can reunite and talk properly. To Tommen's relief, Arya holds him no ill will. If anything, he is perhaps the only one of his family whom Arya doesn't resent for the incident. She's touched by his standing up for her. In the fleeting moments of peace between their busy schedules, the two make time to meet and have some fun. Tommen takes Arya to the cats that fill the castle. While the prince is content to play with them, the young daughter of Winterfell recalls her lessons with Syrio Forel and takes the time to observe them, learning how to pounce and chase after them and practicing balance. Tommen finds all of this funny, but Arya explains that it is all part of water dancing.
It is so I can grow stronger and won't have to be as helpless as I was during the Ruby Fjord.
You won't have to worry, Lady Arya. I won't let something like that happen to you.
That is a sweet thought, but I don't want to keep depending on you, Tommen. I need to learn to fight for myself.
But you're a lady. Isn't that why you get married? So your husband will take care of you?
Maybe for Sansa, but that isn't enough for me. I just know how you need to learn to stand on your own as well.
With that, she turns to the cat and locks eyes with a fierce-looking tomcat with a torn ear. She watches it slowly and then pounces after it, leaving Tommen alone to try and make sense of what she says. He tries to get up when a hand reaches out and helps him to his feet. Marcella is there, laughing and offering a hand. As he stands up, she pats his head.
You are making quite an impression on Lady Arya, but I think you might need to work on how you approach her.
I don't understand. Lady Sansa always enjoys receiving courtesies like that.
And that is your mistake. Lady Sansa might enjoy those, but your future bride is a different sort. She walks her own path. It is confusing at times and quite different from what you are used to, but it is hers.
So how do I approach her?
That is up to you to figure out. She seems to enjoy spending time with you. Why not use that as a chance to learn? After all, Father always says that a happy wife is a happy life.
Tommen takes those words to heart, and in the coming days approaches Arya and takes an interest in her hobbies. In particular, they spend time with Syrio, Tommen observing Arya as she spars with him and occasionally joining Arya when they practice. However, their difference in skill soon becomes apparent, as though Tommen is a diligent student, swordplay does not come naturally to him. Each time he grasps the sword, the weapon feels awkward in his hands, and he spends more time having it knocked from his hands rather than actually using it. For a rare moment, they see frustration wrinkling the boy's brow as he continues to try and use the weapon, but keeps failing. In the end, after weeks of practicing, he laments that and will not catch up with Arya, much less the likes of Jon and even Joffrey. Fighting is simply something that does not come to him. It does not help that he is smaller and weaker than other boys his age. Syrio sees this and places a hand on his shoulder after Tommen angrily tosses his sword to the ground.
You think that size and strength are what matters in a fight. If that were the case, little men like me would never even bother picking up the blade. But this is the beauty of combat. If you are weak, you pick up a sword, and if you cannot fight, you use your mind. I was not selected as the first sword of the Sea Lord of Braavos because I was neither the strongest nor the most skilled, but because I watch and I plan. Take heart, little lion. You may lack strength, but you are resourceful.
The words seem to cheer Tommen, who picks up his sword yet again. Soon the prince becomes an unofficial second student in Sirio's class. He spars with Arya almost every day, feeling more confident in the sword in his hand and moving with more purpose. Ned occasionally watches them, pleased at how this match is turning out. For the first time, he truly believes that there might be hope for this marriage. In fact, Tommen is perhaps the only one from the Lannister family who is not bothered by him. As he investigates further into matters, he begins to realize their influence runs far deeper, and Jon Arryn did not simply die for political influence. Instead, he died because he discovered something: incest between Cersei and Jaime Lannister. As Ned uncovers the truth, he glances at the royal children yet again, and his eyes widen in realization. There was so much of their mother in them, but none of Robert. No chiseled features, dark hair, or robust build. Instead, they are all fair and graceful as Lannisters. Yet he also feels a stab of pain as he realizes what this means for Arya, that her little prince is not who she thinks he is. Yet he resolves himself to confront Cersei about this matter. When the queen discovers this, she tries to placate Ned, saying how it will destroy Arya if she learns the truth, how the Targaryens did it. Any of these suggestions moves Ned and instead offers an ultimatum. He will reveal the truth, but he will give them a chance to leave so that they may escape Robert's fury and live their lives in peace. Rather than accept this, Cersei rages and vows to make Ned pay. While Robert is out hunting, he experiences a fatal accident that leaves Ned with no one to support him. This forces him to try and take the crown by force, yet when this happens, it ends in disaster as Cersei outmaneuvers him with Littlefinger's help. Yet while Ned's guards are slaughtered and the Lord of Winterfell is dragged off in chains, Cersei's eyes turn to Arya, whom she can finally remove.
Arya Stark, come with us. Your father wants to see you.
And why is it that Lord Eddard is sending Lannister men in?
Mind your place, dancing master. This is no concern of yours.
And I don't have to go with you if I don't want.
Take her.
Wait, what is the meaning of this? Sumerian, explain your actions.
The little prince steps out from behind Sirio's legs, causing the knight's eyes to widen. He was not told the prince would be with them. Now that he sees him, there is no way he can simply take them quietly. The knight offers a bow and tries to soften his expression.
Your Grace, there has been a disturbance in the castle. For your and Lady Arya's safety, we were sent here by the Queen to escort you to your chambers.
Didn't you just say that Lord Stark was the one who sent you?
The Lord Hand is acting on the Queen's instructions. There is no time to debate this.
You are right. Then call for Septa Mordaine. She is Arya's guardian, and will be the one who sees her to her chambers, while you escort me.
You heard the prince. He has spoken.
He taps his wooden sword on Mirren's breastplate for emphasis. Yet the knight's patience finally wears out, and with a shout he draws his longsword.
Perhaps you are one of the intruders who we should worry about, Bravosi scum.
Yet Syrio is red and dances past his first attack and stands ready. His wooden sword clacks against the longswords of the Lannister guardsmen as he steps back. Glancing at his two charges, he orders them to run. Arya bolts out the door, but one of the Lannister guards is right beside Tommen and pulls him back. He takes the boy in his arms and pulls him aside just as the Lannister men close on the dancing master. The sound of swords meeting swords echoes across the hallway as Tommen is brought to his room. He screams and thrashes throughout the whole thing, his mind racing as he wonders what is going on. Yet he cannot fight off the Lannister guardsmen when he is locked in his chambers. By nightfall, the matter is taken care of. Ned and Sansa are taken prisoner while most of their household is dead. The only loose end is Arya, who manages to slip free from the castle in chaos. Cersei already orders men to search for her, but has so far not received any clues. And then there is the matter of Tommen. His youngest is inconsolable and refuses to speak to anyone. Cersei wishes to speak to him, but decides that the time is not yet right. She cannot expect him to understand what is happening, and decides there is someone else she must speak to first. Though they have secured the capital, she knows this is far from the end of things. Word will soon reach Winterfell, and Robb Stark undoubtedly take action. She must ensure that the Lannisters are portrayed as the heroes here. She finds Sansa Stark in her tower and walks with her privately. It was no secret that Sansa had favored Joffrey and wanted nothing more than to marry into the royal family and become queen. And because of that, she could be a valuable pawn. Cersei begins to craft a letter, claiming that Ned had fallen into some vile rumors concocted by men who wished to see Joffrey removed from power. She says that Stannis has long been jealous of Joffrey and how he lacks the love of the people that his nephew has, and speaks to undermine him to claim the throne. Unfortunately, Ned discovers these rumors and took them as fact. He was preparing to spread them further and even show the king, which would throw the realm into civil war as Stannis and Joffrey would fight for the crown. While arresting Ned was regrettable, it was the only way to prevent the situation from escalating further.
That is why I offer you a promise, my dear. If you help us, I will promise that your father receives merciful treatment. After all, he was just a piece in this Game of Thrones. You must issue a statement claiming that you denounce such rumors, and that you stand by the crown to help show unity in these turbulent times.
What of Arya? Where is she?
We have men searching for her. She must have fled into the chaos. Poor thing. But it is also why it is important we quash this rumor now, so that Stark and Lannister may work together in finding your sister.
I understand. But I must ask, won't this jeopardize her marriage with Tommen?
I see no reason why our houses cannot be allies. However, if you ask me, I think King Robert thought too small. He wished to join our houses, yet refused to marry those who mattered the most. A second son for a second daughter. I'm starting to think he selected the wrong Stark.
With equal parts deception and equal parts threat, Cersei wraps Sansa around her finger. Now she is fully committed to the lie, if only because she wants it to be true. The girl agrees to this claim and begins to draft a statement, soon releasing it to the north as Robb calls his banners. The letter urges him to calm down and demobilize his army. She insists that she and Ned are safe and being treated. Sansa explains how all of this is a misunderstanding caused by false rumors created by Robert's brothers. It was Stannis who tried to usurp the throne, and Renly who attempted to convince Ned to work with him to capture the capital. Naturally, these rumors do not sit well with the Northmen, who do not buy it for a second. Instead of easing their worries, they are now more convinced that something is going on, and that Sansa must be writing this under duress. Soon the Northmen set out and begin marching with the intent of freeing Ned and Sansa. But Cersei does not expect it to work on them. Instead, her attention is on Tommen to show him that this is what needs to be done. Cersei gathers her children in the solar. Sansa sits beside her, pale and trembling, repeating the words that Cersei coached her into. She swears her loyalty to the crown, speaks of her devotion to Joffrey, and insists that her family was misled by rumors. Tommen listens in silence. His mother strokes his hair, whispering that she has only ever acted with his best interests at heart. Sansa's testimony is proof. She says that even the Starks recognize her love and protection. Tommen nods, small and obedient, but the words turn heavy in his chest. He remembers Arya's wolf, remembers Sirio's lessons, remembers his own voice rising against his mother's will. He does not argue. He nods again, promises he understands, and Cersei kisses his forehead with pride. Yet when she leaves, Tommen lingers in the hall, his heart uncertain. It is Myrcella who finds him first. She takes his hand and tells him not to be troubled.
You don't believe her, do you?
I don't. And how can I not believe my own mother? Does that make me a bad son?
No, it shows that you're able to think for yourself. You're a prince, Tommen, and you should be allowed to make a decision for yourself. You already show more wisdom than Joffrey ever did.
Then I should have said something. I saw Joffrey glaring at me, as if he would punish me if I said something else.
What would it have to accomplish? Mother never changes her mind on anything. It would have only brought more pain to yourself. Arya would never want that.
The princess speaks truly. You would not have been able to do anything if you'd spoke up. But it tastes like bile in your throat, doesn't it? Your brother is cut off from steel and spite. He reminds me of another boy, a big brute from my father's lands. He loved to torment everyone, even his own brother, for playing with his toys whenever he wanted.
Sir Gregor.
I know what it means to live in the shadow. You can bend to fear, or you can grow teeth of your own. Don't ever forget that.
For the first time, Tommen looks at Joffrey not only as a brother, but as a tyrant in the making, and though he says nothing, doubt begins to grow inside him. For all these talks, no one believes it, and Joffrey is infuriated by the North's unwillingness to cooperate. To him, this means that there is no reason to keep Ned alive, and soon lops his head off. This horrifies Sansa, who reminds Joffrey of Cersei's promise of mercy. Joffrey coldly reminds her that she had failed in her mission of ensuing peace. This one moment shatters the illusion she's built around Joffrey, and for the first time sees him as a tyrant and a murderer. Yet there is nothing she can do, and when she protests, Joffrey has the Kingsguard beat her as punishment. Despite that, there is no stopping the war, which begins in earnest. Yet, although the Lannisters appear in a strong position, things quickly go south for them. Robb proves to be a far better commander than anyone expected. In 2 swift battles, he routs the western Lannister army and even captures the Kingslayer. Not only does this gain them a valuable hostage, it also leaves Tywin trapped in Harrenhal, where he is cut off from the Westerlands. At the same time, Stannis and Renly both declare themselves rulers of the 7 kingdoms, and in less than a month, 1 king turns into 4. With the King's Landing as the main target, the royal family can do little more than prepare for a siege against whoever reaches them first. To help them, Tyrion is sent to oversee a preparation and secure Joffrey's rule. Tommen welcomes him back, especially when he promises to continue searching for Arya. While Tyrion does help secure Lannister rule and improve the preparations, the situation grows more dire as Renly is killed by Stannis, allowing him to gain control of part of his army. This allows him to march to King's Landing and attack them. The situation gets so bad that they first send Marcella away to Dorne and Tommen to Rosby, so that if the city falls, the royal children can avoid capture. And just in time, too, as Stannis arrives a few days later and besieges the city. The ensuing battle goes poorly, as despite a spirited resistance and even unleashing wildfire, none of this actually stops the Baratheon army. Even the Hound loses his courage and deserts, but rather than leaving the city immediately, he stumbles into the Red Keep. He appears in Sansa's chambers, drunk and frightened.
Do you want to go home?
I'll be safe here. Stannis won't hurt me.
Look at me. Stannis is a killer. The Lannisters are killers. Your father was a killer. Your brother is a killer. Your sons will be killers someday. So you better get used to looking at them.
You won't hurt me.
No, little bird, I won't hurt you.
The two of them ride off in the dead of night. With the battle raging around them, no one notices two individuals leaving, especially when another sight grabs people's attention, the arrival of reinforcements from the Tyrells. With the Reachmen pouring from the south, the battle shifts, and Stannis is forced to retreat in defeat. Tommen keeps a close watch on this from Rosby. The flames of the Blackwater rise so high that he can see them even from there. His fingers grip the railing of the balcony as Tommen chokes back a sob. The only thing that puts his mind at ease is the report that Stannis eventually retreats and Mace Tyrell's army arrived to reinforce them. In the coming days, Lord Rosby and the Gold Cloaks protecting him promise that they will be able to return to King's Landing. But before he does, a figure appears in the dead of night and knocks a guard outside of his door.
Out of my way.
The Hound steps in, his shadow filling the doorway and blocking all light. Tommen looks at him in surprise.
You? What are you doing here, sir?
I'm no bloody sir, and I'm here to get you out of here, little lion.
Get me out? I'm no prisoner.
Are you sure about that? Then tell me, what is your plan? Return to King's Landing, live under the thumb of your brother, or are you prepared to show your teeth and search for your little friend?
You intend to search for Arya Stark?
Someone convinced me.
He steps aside, and Sansa Stark appears. She quickly explains the situation of how in the midst of the Battle of the Blackwater the Hound rescued Sansa, and she convinced him to help search for Arya in exchange for allowing him to join the Stark household and escape Lannister reprisals. But the Hound knows they might need more than reaching House Stark to ensure security. Having Tommen with him will give him some bargaining power to guarantee their freedom. By the end, Tommen agrees to go with him. He picks up his meager possessions and informs the guards that the Hound will escort him back to the capital. Although confused, word of Sandor's desertion has not yet reached Rosby, so the Gold Cloaks allow him to depart. Yet, while they appear to follow the Rosby road back to King's Landing, once they are out of sight, they double back and hurry all the way to the Riverlands. The road into the Riverlands are quiet. Too quiet. The smell of smoke lingers, the ruin of villages scattered across the countryside. Tommen rides between Sansa and the Hound, trying not to look at the burned-out homes and the bodies that sometimes lie forgotten by the roadside. Sandor mutters curses about the war, about how the kings are all the same, but he keeps his hand on his sword. Sansa rides in silence, her face pale, but her chin held high. The promise of reuniting with her family was enough to keep her going. When night falls, shapes appear from the trees. Arrows glint in moonlight, and men step forward, cloaked and hooded.
The Brotherhood without banners.
A dozen bows are drawn, aimed at them. A man with red robes steps forward, Thoros of Myr.
Travelers in the Riverlands in the dead of night. You're no common folk. I recognize you from the Hand's tourney, the Prince's dog, Lady Sansa, and the Lion Cub. A strange fellowship. Tell your fucking outlaws to get back. If you place one hand on the boy, you'd best be prepared to lose the hand. I'll cut through half of you before you land a single arrow.
What do you want from us, sirs?
The same thing anyone wants these days. Gold. The three of you would fetch a pretty ransom, especially the boy.
Please, we seek no trouble. We simply wish to find my sister Arya Stark, and to return to Riverrun.
Well, as it happens, that's where we intend to ransom you. Though as to why the Lion Cub wants that is anyone's guess. He realizes your families are at war. You might actually be safer with us, cub. Don't listen to the stories your mother tells you about us. We're here to protect the small folk.
Please, you must allow us to pass. You fight to protect the people from the misery of war. If you help us reach Riverrun, if you bring Arya safely to her brother, then maybe we can end this bloodshed. Tommen is willing to make peace. That is more than Joffrey will ever give you.
The Brotherhood murmurs, uncertain. For all their hatred of Lannisters, this boy does not speak with arrogance or cruelty. The words hang heavy in the night air. At last, Thoros lowers his hand. They ride under guard through the Riverlands until at last the Brotherhood brings them to a hidden camp near Riverrun. There, from the shadows, Arya Stark bursts forth. She stares at Tommen, then Sansa, then the Hound, her face torn between shock and fury. The sisters cling to each other, their anger forgotten, while Tommen bows his head. The Hound grunts, but suppresses a smile. By the next day, they arrive at Riverrun. The Stark banners flap in the wind as they enter the castle hall. Robb Stark rises from his seat, gray eyes sharp as he sees his sister and the Lannister boy with them. The hall erupts with shouts, swords drawn, but Robb silences them as Thoros explains what happened, and the Hound says how he escorted them out of King's Landing. From there, they explain what happened, what truly happened. The Hound says that Ned was given the authority to serve as protector of the realm, but Cersei refused to accept it and had him arrested. That is why she claims Ned Stark tried to stage a coup. Robb listens, grim and wary, yet with Tommen in his grasp, the balance shifts. No longer do the Lannisters hold both Stark girls. Now it is Robb who holds their precious youngest son while they have nothing. He writes a letter to Tywin, who by now sees that his youngest grandson is missing, and when he reads the missive, his blood runs cold. He had already been planning to get rid of the Starks. His allies in Houses Frey and Bolton were more than happy to help him. But this changes everything. With their heir to the Iron Throne in his grasp, he cannot risk it. Urgent messages are sent with others to negotiate. The war pauses. Tywin Lannister stalls for time, forced into negotiation while his grandson Joffrey continues to rule with cruelty. But the wedding feast comes swiftly, and with it, poison in a golden cup. Joffrey Baratheon dies choking before the realm. His reign ended before it truly began. Though Sansa is not there to tell them about Joffrey, there are enough rumors to cause the Tyrells to worry. More importantly, they have an opportunity to help secure Tommen's release. Tywin does not live long after, cut down in his chambers. The Lannisters scramble to hold power, and Kevan emerges as the only steady hand. The Tyrells have already been making strikes into the Riverlands, and this allows them to send delegations to meet with Robb and negotiate his release. At last, Olenna proposes secret terms. The Starks release Tommen in exchange for peace. They will personally ensure the Lannisters trouble them no longer, and they are allowed to marry Tommen to Marjorie. Robb sees the truth. His armies are broken, too weak to demand independence, but with Tommen, a gentle boy unlike his brother, the realm might heal. He is friendly with the Starks, and with the Reach, they have a chance at making peace. He sends word to Riverrun. Tommen will be returned home under the Reach's escort. Yet, as he departs, he and Arya look at one another and walk among the Godswood.
So, I suppose this is it. An end to our betrothal and this adventure we've had together. To tell you the truth, this was the most fun I've ever had despite everything.
Indeed. I'll write you every day at Winterfell. You are no Joffrey. When the time comes, I hope you don't forget me.
After everything that happened, I doubt I'll forget any of this. Don't ever be a stranger in the capital, too. If you ever wish to visit, I will personally guarantee your safety.
The two share an embrace, looking at one another and offering a smile. They both promise to see each other again, just as Loras Tyrell himself arrives to escort him home. Meanwhile, Robb leads his army home both to secure it from the Ironborn and drive back Stannis, who encroaches on their territory. While they are initially grateful for his help in defeating the Wildlings, in their efforts to make peace, Stannis refuses to recognize Tommen as king, forcing him to do battle with Northmen he'd hoped to recruit. However, without local support, Stannis' army is doomed, as during a battle, the Hound takes command of the vanguard, cutting through Stannis' initial lines and driving them back. This opens a gap for the Northern cavalry to sweep through and crush his forces, scattering them to the winds. Meanwhile, the King of Dragonstone himself is captured. The mood is a little better in King's Landing, as with Tywin dead, Lannister power shifts to Cersei, who proves unstable. Although she is eager to welcome her son back, it is hard for him to see her as someone he can trust after everything that happened between them. Instead, the Tyrells surround him, especially Marjorie, who now wishes to spend time with her future husband. The meetings are initially awkward between the two of them, especially because of the recent hostilities between their houses. However, things soon begin to calm down once they get to know each other. Although his mother warns that the young Tyrell does not have his best interests at heart, Tommen found her pleasant company, and the two develop a friendship as they go riding together and visit the city. With King's Landing and the realm at large still recovering from the War of the Five Kings, their presence is a welcome sight in the city, as it reminds them that the crown has not fully abandoned them. Marjorie hosts visits in the orphanage, in poorhouses, and the markets, where she helps distribute relief aid and talks to the people to understand their concerns. For the first time, Tommen begins to understand what it means to be a king as he watches those same people depending on him. Although the actual decisions are still made by the Queen Regent and the small council, Marjorie encourages Tommen to act more independently. She reminds him that Joffrey was willing to sit on the council meetings. He should be no different. While a part of this is her desire to gain more power in court, another is a sincere wish to guide Tommen. She had seen Joffrey's cruelty in his brief reign, and knew from the stories that he had no one truly to help him. Yet she doesn't see the same cruelty in Tommen. Instead, she sees compassion and a desire to be a good person. Yet, while they travel the city, they also begin to notice something else. Strange men in robes, with their ornaments of the faith on their bodies. Sparrows, they call themselves, and they insist that they are the speakers of the small folk. Even as Marjorie and Tommen try to help the small folk, these men rail against the crown in their excess, cursing them for ignoring the needs of the poor. Marjorie walks the gardens with Tommen, the faint scent of roses in the air. He seems lighter here, away from the crowded halls, speaking of kittens and knights. He is nothing like Joffrey. He listens when she speaks. He does not sneer when she smiles. At first, she thought she must guide him to power for her family's sake. But now, watching his hesitant laugh, the way he fumbles when offering her a flower, she realizes Tommen does not want her for a wife. And in truth, she doesn't particularly want him as a husband. While she is fond of him, it is less as a partner and more as a friend or a younger brother.
Tommen, you don't need to pretend with me. I know you'll never love me as a husband should, but perhaps we don't need that.
But then the alliance. My granduncle said that we need it, and it
can still stand. We build trust without forcing happiness. Your father and Ned Stark remained allies even without needing to marry into their houses.
But they were friends.
You don't consider us friends? Tommen, you trust me, don't you? That should be enough.
But in the shadows of the garden, Cersei watches. Her lips curl. She can see the influence of the Tyrells growing, how their roots wrap around her son, and she begins to work to pluck that rose. Within weeks, the whispers of the faith become shouts. The sparrows march through the streets, crying out against sin and corruption. Cersei meets with them in secret, feeding them rumors of Marjorie's fornication and corruption. She says that Mace is grasping and reaching for power rather than serving the people. She also hints at allowing the sparrows to rearm if they assist her. Suddenly, these rumors are spread further and further across the city as the sparrows take charge of it. Soon, the Queen of the Roses is seized. Marjorie is dragged from the Red Keep on false charges. Lyanna storms into the city, fury in her eyes, and meets Tommen in secret. Her efforts to see her granddaughter are stonewalled, and the sparrows threaten violence. Thousands of their supporters rally on the street, but she knows they are not the masterminds behind this plan. It is the Queen Regent. That is why she approaches Tommen and urges him to take action.
Your mother seeks to rule through robes and ashes. If you do not act, boy, the crown will not belong to you, but to the faith.
But the High Septum speaks on her behalf. How can I go against the faith?
Those prattlers? Yes, they speak so much of the oppression they faced, yet where were they when the crown needed them? Now they act as if their suffering gives them the right to dictate succession, to pick up arms after their treaty. They have done nothing more to deserve the crown. Yet you must ask yourself if you are willing to do what is necessary to deserve it yourself.
That night, Tommen lies awake, his mother's voice and the High Sparrow's chants ringing in his ears. But another voice lingers louder still. Sandor Clegane's growl.
You can bend to fear, or you can grow teeth of your own. Don't ever forget that.
At dawn, Tommen takes a quill and parchment. He writes first to Arya. He asks for strength in the name of their old friendship and pleads for help, promising to not just forgive the North, but actively help it instead of ignoring it. He acknowledges the suffering they have undergone from wildlings, Ironborn, and the Lannisters, and promises to help them. Then he writes to his sister in Dorne, begging for help and writing his sincerest condolences for the Red Viper's death. He does not wish to fight them and continue the blood feud between their houses. He promises to do whatever it takes to make things right. The same is true in the West, where he asks Sir Devon to lend his strength again. There is a sincerity in his words rarely seen amongst the Lannisters. and with Lyanna's guidance, she emphasizes that the High Sparrow is Cersei's doing as well, and how they will also help combat her. When the houses receive these words, they all stir. Though still wary, they decide to take this chance on the boy, and so they do. In the weeks that follow, banners rise from the north and south alike. Wolves ride beside lions, roses beside the Sunspear. Even Stannis is freed from his imprisonment to join them on their march as close to 1,000 Dornish and an equal number of northern men arrive. At last, the day comes. The Faith Militant fill the Great Sept, the High Sparrows at their head, flanked by zealots with clubs and torches. Yet outside the Sept, a host gathers, soldiers from every corner of Westeros. Tommen rides at their head, golden crown gleaming. A boy no longer. Arya and the Hound ride at its flank. Robb Stark at his side, Olenna in her litter, Marcella's banners flying high. Stannis stands back, tall and proud, even as he remains in shackles. The bells toll. The High Sparrow raises his hand, but the boy king does not kneel. He raises his voice, loud enough for all of King's Landing to hear. The Sparrow supporters all look at the banners, the same banners of houses that once quarreled with each other, now standing defiantly.
The crown will not bend to false shepherds. The realm belongs not to ashes and lies, but to its people, and I am their king. You are correct that the crown has ignored its duties, but I am prepared to fix that. I wish to rule fairly, and these houses stand behind me because they believe in that goal. I hope you and your sparrows can join us.
And with that, Westeros holds its breath. Tommen rides at the front, flanked by Arya, Marjorie, and Robb Stark. The Hound sits his horse nearby, helm under one arm, scarred face set in grim readiness. Behind them, Davin Lannister and Dornish captains keep their men in check.
We speak for the small folk, Your Grace. For too long, lords and kings have gorged themselves while people starved. It is sin that has broken this realm, and sin must be purged. You wish to rule, but rule who? Your grandfather and brother only looked out for the likes of themselves.
High Sparrow, the faith of the Seven was meant to guide the people in worship, to heal, to comfort. But what comfort do you give them? You do not feed the hungry. You do not rebuild the homes war has burned. You only condemn. You punish. You lash out at those who do not agree with you and call it piety.
The mob cries out in anger, but not all of them. More than a few look uncertain, shifting as Tommen steps closer.
Don't be so quick to puff out your chest when another can so easily deflate it. My granddaughter and your king had visited the poorhouses not to harass those inside, but to offer bread. They opened their ears to others, and yet you still call them monsters, even as you consort with Tywin's daughter and Joffrey's mother.
I do not deny it. My brother was cruel. My mother has erred. But I will not rule as they did. I am king, and I will see the people fed. I will see the realm rebuilt. If you wish to help me, then send me your septums to aid the orphans, the widows, the farmers, ruined by war. But if you only wish to punish, then you are no shepherd. You are another tyrant in robes.
She is only a boy. Do not listen to him. He is being misled.
The boy is no true king. He is soft, weak, tainted by the lies of vipers. The Seven demand justice.
His followers surge forward, sparrows raising cudgels and axes, gold cloaks caught between orders. For a moment it seems the city will break into bloodshed, yet his followers do not all go. Many hesitate, looking around at the banners. Some are overawed by them. Some never fully supported this plan to begin with, and were simply forced. Many septums shake their heads and shout for them to stop. Others throw down their weapons. When the armies of the lords get into position, they find only a coastal tide rather than a tsunami. So instead, the sparrows hesitate. The crowd turns. The mob hesitates. The spell of the High Sparrow begins to crack. In the end, many moderate septums join Tommen, further chipping away at the High Sparrow's strength, and a group of them negotiate. The hostilities will come to an end. The High Sparrow is made to leave King's Landing while Cersei is sent to the Silent Sisters. The marriage between Marjorie and Tommen is called off, but Marjorie is invited to remain in court as an advisor. To compensate for their marriage breaking off, Mace Tyrell is made Hand of the King, while Kevin is the protector of the realm. Even Stannis is offered a position as Lord of Storm's End and Master of Ships if he accepts Tommen as his king. After seeing his actions against the Sparrow, he sees that Tommen is nothing like Joffrey. To prove his point, he agrees to provide Sir Gregor's body as compensation for Oberyn's death and publicly condemns Lord Tywin's actions. However, he does not linger in the capital for long, as he is soon ordered to deal with the arriving sellswords in the Stormlands. With someone like him in command, and the Dornish attacking their rear, they are expected to lose quickly. Lastly, the Northmen are allowed to set up a delegation in court. Among them is Arya Stark. That's our theory. Westeros is a land filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey across the Seven Kingdoms and beyond, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.